In December of 2007, I was looking for a screenplay to write when I came across a story on the internet regarding the legend of J.C. Brown. After reading the story, I became fascinated by it and decided to spend 2 weeks at the New York Public Library to investigate the legend. The legend of J.C. Brown is a baffling story about a man by the name of J.C. Brown who in 1934, at the age of 67, appears in Stockton, California. The old-timer spins a tale about a lost treasure he found 30 years earlier in 1904 while employed with the Lord Cowdray Mining Company of England. 80 eager Stockton residents, including a newspaper editor, a museum curator, a retired printer, several scientists, and other solid citizens, form a group and plan for 6 weeks to investigate the tunnel with J.C. Brown. The group would leave on June 19th at 1 p.m. 80 Stockton citizens waited at the designated time for their leader to appear. The Stockton police were called in, but no trace of the man was found. He had completely disappeared. But the 80 people who waited in vain for him that June day believed the authenticity of his story, and they believed in the existence of the vast tunnel in Mount Shasta filled with golden artifacts. I then jotted down the clues I had learned by reading the legend and tried to discover the true identity of the man only known as J.C. Brown. Just like when a detective takes on a case, he seeks to discover evidence to bring the guilty to justice. I was about to look at the facts and make my own conclusions. When I got to the library, I slowly walked over to a terminal and went on the computer, and I decided to do a Google search on the name Lord Cowdray and see if there was actually a man named Lord Cowdray who was the owner of the Lord Cowdray Mining Company of England. What I quickly discovered from doing a Google search, yes, there was a man by the name of Lord Cowdray who was knighted in 1917, where he became officially known as the first Viscount Cowdray. His given name was Wheatman Dickinson Pearson, and he was born July 15, 1856 at Shellywood House, Yorkshire, the son of George Pearson and Sarah Wheatman Pearson. He was an engineer, oil industrialist, and owner of the Pearson conglomerate. This was the most important clue that I would need to put all the puzzle pieces into place. After making the connection that Sir Wheatman Pearson was also Lord Cowdray, I was able to acquire his biography from the New York Public Library. Upon learning of his death in May of 1927, I turned my attention to someone who may have been a lieutenant in his organization. It was then that I learned that just as the man had claimed he had spent many years in the employ of the Lord Cowdray Mining Company of England, I was able to use this information to link John Benjamin Body, being the man who appeared in the office of the editor of the Stockton Record newspaper in 1934, claiming to be J.C. Brown. J.B. Body, alias J.C. Brown, did in fact work for the Lord Cowdray Mining Company of England. The man was also a geologist by trade and working his entire career for the same company. And just as J.C. Brown had claimed that was reported by the Stockton Record, his net worth exceeded $40 million. Then in February of 2008, I contacted columnist Michael Fitzgerald of the Stockton Record and shared these findings. I was able to provide the columnist with accurate information without having a copy of the original newspaper article published in the Stockton Record on June 19, 1934, regarding the disappearance of J.C. Brown. I even contacted the Stockton Police Department and wanted to solve the missing persons report, but the case had been closed for over 70 years. Then 2 months later, in April of 2008, I was a guest on Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie to discuss my findings on the legend of J.C. Brown. As luck would have it, I was able to acquire a biography of the life of Sir Wheatman Pearson, Sir Lord Cowdray, and in the book I was able to get a photo of the man by the name of John Benjamin Body, who I believed was the man who showed up in 1934 posing as J.C. Brown in Stockton, California. Interestingly enough, when I showed this photo around to friends and family, they told me that the man looked a lot like me. For nearly a year, I had gone over all of the clues. It was my theory that Lord Cowdray and J.B. Body, alias J.C. Brown, stumbled upon the basalt volcanic rock formation by accident while vacationing at the Shasta Springs Resort in Dunsmuir, California. The Shasta Springs Resort was located 3.5 miles north of Dunsmuir, California. Shasta Springs at the time was the most famous resort located in the upper Sacramento River Canyon. Trains would stop there so passengers could drink the natural spring water. The drinking of Shasta water reported to have beneficial results and was used as a remedial agent. Some of the passengers would disembark on the platforms and head for the incline railways, which for 5 cents would take them up to the main part of the resort that was situated high above the railroad tracks. It was my belief that Lord Cowdery and J.B. Body were vacationing at the resort, and while walking out or near the property, they noticed an unusual rock formation. Lord Cowdery and J.B. Body, geologists by trade, considered this to be an important discovery. They both agreed that they would later return to dig out the tunnel. I then compiled all the information and chronological history on the Shasta Springs Resort. And after compiling the information, I looked at a map and a picture of the property, and I felt as though it was déjà vu that I had been there before. Then in April of 2009, I decided to go to Mount Shasta and search for the tunnel. Armed with the new information and the map, I began hiking and exploring the area that surrounded where the Shasta Springs Resort was once located. It was on the second day exploring that I came across the strange-looking basalt volcanic rock formation that J.C. Brown had claimed that he had found many years earlier. From the location of this unusual rock formation, it was approximately 11 miles from the base of Mount Shasta, just as J.C. Brown had claimed in his legend. As a direct result of the legend of J.C. Brown, I now am a strong believer in reincarnation. I have come to the full understanding that we have many lifetimes and existences in other bodies, and we alone are the pattern maker of our own existence. Eastern philosophies teach that the purpose of human existence is mergence with the divine. To be merged with the divine will be to become godlike. Is life on earth a temporary but very important stage of our existence? Is it a prelude to an endless and uninterrupted life in the spiritual world, which is our real home? It is my belief that during our short stay on earth that our personality is established and our character is formed. The inner character formed in this world is what develops forever in the afterlife. While we are living in this world, the foundations of our eternal existence are being laid. Life on earth is a very important phase of our endless existence. It is my belief heaven and hell are right here on earth. It is while we are alive in this world we are forming our future heaven or hell for ourselves based on our actions. If we have goodness for one another in our hearts, then we have heaven inside of us. If we are dominated by thoughts of selfishness, then we have hell inside of us. The choice for me was plain and simple. Treat all of God's children, whatever race, creed, or color, as your equal. I have reached the crossroads of my life and need only to listen to the voice within to receive the answers. Reincarnation, myth or fact? It depends on who you ask. Thank you for tuning in to Reincarnation, Myth or Fact, Part 2.